Today we're going to create an outline pop art effect. This assignment was based off of something one of my students did at the beginning of the school year, and I asked him how he learned how to do that, and he showed me the video for it. So credit to that student, and I will also include the source video so you can reference that, and the guy that made it has some other neat videos too you might want to try. So sometimes I just like to go through them and tweak it a little bit so it's easier for you all to understand. So that's basically what I'm doing here, just making sure that you understand how to do everything or you've done it before. So what we're going to do first is we're going to make sure that you have a picture of yourself. So you want to take a picture. I would recommend a 3/4 shot body shot or a full body shot. This one here is about half a body, and I don't like that my hands are cut off, so I do suggest 3/4 body or full body shot. And I do recommend that you use a self timer if you're taking it yourself and do it on a solid background, or you have somebody else take it for you on a solid background or as close as you can get to a solid background. So what I'm going to use now is I'm going to select the model. You're going to use the 4th tool down, the object selection tool, and you could use different selection tools, but I'm just going to use this. I'm going to draw a box around the subject, and usually if you have a simple white background, it does a pretty good job of selecting. This tutorial is kind of lenient and forgiving with your selection, so you don't have to be as precise as you might need to be in some other projects. So we're going to start out by selecting our subject, and then we are going to do layer, new, layer via copy. Layer, new, layer via copy. And that's just going to give us a copy of our selected area on top. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to add a solid fill layer underneath. So whatever color we want our background to be. So this is new also. So layer, new fill layer, solid color. Layer, new fill layer, solid color. And you're just gonna go ahead and click OK, and then you will sample the color that you want. Now what I should have done before I did this is I should have drug it, I should have clicked on my background layer. So I'm gonna go with this kind of deep navy blue. You guys can do whatever you want. This will be individual. You do not have to copy the way that I do it. So, but what I would recommend is before you do the new solid fill color layer, you click on the background so it does go between layer 1 and your background. Okay, so the next part then is we're going to duplicate this layer, our top subject layer. So we're going to do layer, new, layer, duplicate layer. Go ahead and click OK, and then we're going to add a clipping mask on this layer. So layer, you've done this before, create clipping mask. So with this done, now we're going to add some special effects. So we're going to add a little blur, filter, blur, Gaussian blur. And we're going to put this on 3 pixels just to give it a touch of blur. And then we're going to amp up the contrast a little bit using our levels. So image, adjustment, levels. So we're going to pull the white slider in and pull the black slider in a bit, and this will just amplify. That was a little much, so I'm going to adjust it. Boost your contrast a little bit. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the photo filter. So image, adjustments, photo filter. And what you're going to do is there's a bunch to pick from here. So try a few, and you can uncheck preserve luminosity, and you want to crank it up, because this effect that we're going for looks really good with posters, or kind of has like an edgy feel to it, almost like an album cover. So kind of go through and choose one that you think looks good. I'm gonna keep mine pretty much based off the example video, I think. I'm just gonna try a couple more options. Ooh, I kinda like that yellow. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with yellow actually for mine, but you can try a few and go with whatever one you like the best, and then play with the density. Alright, then you're gonna go ahead and click OK. And then at this point, we're gonna go back to our layer 1, and we're gonna add a stroke around it. So you've done this before. I'm sorry, you're gonna go to the little FX, and you're gonna choose stroke. And for the size, you're gonna wanna do around 5. Again, you can kind of tweak all these numbers a little bit to suit you. And then you're gonna choose the color for your stroke or your outline. I'm gonna do like an off-white kind of gray. And I think I'm gonna do like a white or a yellow for the rest. And then you're gonna click OK once you've got it, and OK again. Okay, now this next part is pretty cool. This is something new. We are going to learn how to create an action. And this is super useful. Say if there's a certain sequence of edits that you want to apply to a batch of photos, maybe you shot a wedding reception, and it's all in this same room with similar lighting conditions, and you are correcting, color correcting a whole bunch of the same, or a whole bunch of photos in that same lighting situation. So you can actually set up an action and then apply it over a field of photos. So it's super useful. So what we're gonna do is we're going to load this selection. So we're gonna do hold down Command, and you're gonna click in the layer thumbnail to select it. So you're gonna hold down Command, and you're gonna click on the layer thumbnail, which is right here, not over here, it's right here, and then you're gonna see that your subject is selected. Now what you're gonna do is we're going to make a new layer. So I'm gonna click on my top layer, and I'm going to do layer, new layer. I'm gonna name it stroke. And go ahead and click OK. Now we are ready to record our action. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull up our action panel, which is any panel that we don't have open that we're looking for is always under Window. So you go Window, Actions, and I'm just gonna go ahead and clear mine out here, so it's just, there's nothing there to be confusing. But then what we're gonna do is we're gonna hit the create new button and to create a new action, and we're gonna name this stroke action. And then we're going to hit record in a moment. Before I hit record, now the next sequence of steps that I'm gonna do, it is going to be capturing these, and then we are going to be able to play them back and repeat the steps over and over. So super useful. So once we hit record, you want to make sure that all the steps are accurate until you hit stop. So I'm going to hit record. Okay, and I make sure I'm on my stroke layer here that I've created, and I have my selection ready to go. Now I'm going to click on my second tool down, which is the elliptical marquee tool or the rectangular marquee tool, and I am going to right click right over here, I'm sorry, erase that. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do select, modify, and I'm going to expand the selection by 30 or 40 pixels. So I'm going to do 40. And then I'm going to smooth it by 10. So select, modify, smooth, 10 pixels. Okay, so on my edge that I had selected, I expanded it by 40 pixels and smoothed it by 10 pixels. Then I'm going to select the second tool down, the elliptical marquee or rectangular, or the rectangular marquee, it doesn't matter which one. And then I am going to right click in the background area, the blue area, and I'm going to select stroke. Now, for this stroke that I'm going to do it slightly smaller than my original one, which was 5, so I'm going to do 3 pixels. And for my color, I said I either wanted to do white or kind of that yellow limey color. I think I'll go with white for this one. And then I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to have this on the outside this time and keep everything else as is. And then I'm going to click OK. Now, once I've completed this, that is my series of steps, and I'm going to hit up in my action panel, I'm going to hit the stop button. Just did recorded. Those steps we just did, they are now recorded. So what we're going to do now is we're simply going to hit play over and over, and it will repeat that series of steps, and you're going to do that until it reaches the edge. Now I do want to say I did go in with the this tool right here, the polygonal lasso tool, not on camera, and I did get rid of the selection in here because I didn't want that one to be repeating over. So I just wanted to point that out in case you have a similar design thing going on. Repeat. Oops, I'm sorry. So you're going to go the whole way until the edge. Okay, great. So I'm going to go ahead and collapse this panel. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to soften the edges. So I'm going to go ahead and deselect. Command D is the shortcut for that. I'm going to set my foreground and background colors to my default black and white. And then I'm going to go over to my layer panel and I'm going to add a layer mask, which is the rectangle at the bottom with the circle inside of it. So here's my layer mask. You can see now it's selected because it has the outline around it. So what I'm going to do now is select my gradient tool. My gradient tool is right here. It might be hiding underneath your paint bucket tool. And then you are going to select the second option in, which is the radial gradient. And I'm going to drop my opacity down from 100, maybe around like 75, 80. Again, that's a personal preference. You can tweak that if you don't like it. And I'm going to put mine on reverse gradient. So now I'm going to click approximately in the center of my image and pull out to the end. If you want to keep your line straight, just hold down Shift. And then you can see, if you look over here, it applied that radial gradient, which just kind of softened the outer edge a bit. You could tweak that if you didn't like it, but I do kind of like how it looks. So at this point, you are pretty much done unless you want to add some other special effects. So what you're going to do is you're going to flatten it. So layer, flatten image, and then file, save as.